Oh, wow.
Oh,
What's up, guys? It's the Four Horsemen Fantasy Football Podcast back again. It's been a long time. It's been a while. We apologize, but we're back.
A while.
Yes, great song. I got Brent Ocker, Alex Vinny Stoner, and Josh Van Cleve with me tonight. How you doing, fellas?
Who to who?
Hooty who?
Who to who?
Who? Alex, you good?
I'm terrific.
We had some minor issues getting Brent into the actual Google Hangout, but it happened for him. He figured it out. He reran some numbers.
I put a hole in my wall, ran some new wiring, electrical wiring in the wall real quick just to make sure I could be here for this.
He's a wizard.
He electrocuted himself 3 times, but he's here.
He's
a slight twitch.
He's a real man's man.
Yep, for sure.
So, we figured no better way of bringing the podcast back than to do a mock draft on the Sleeper app, which, shout out, is amazing. I love it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty streamlined. It's a great app. If you haven't used it before, check it out at Sleeper HQ. We did a 12-team mock draft, half PPR, start 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, flex, defense, kicker, 5 bench spots. I got 11 people to do the draft, and then we let a computer draft the 12th spot. But we are obviously all 4 in it. And then I got some of my other buddies I'm in leagues with to do it as well. So we're going to tear it apart and dig into it and see what we liked, what we didn't like. We'll go over the first couple rounds, and it should be a solid at least an hour of us talking about this draft, I would say. Think we can get it done in an hour?
Or 3.
Yeah, whatever. We'll figure it out.
It could be a 6-hour podcast, but
It said when I pressed the button, it said that you can record up to 8 hours. So
it's an 8-hour podcast.
Yeah, 8-hour podcast. It'll cut us off.
Well, before we get into the talk, hop on Twitter, follow us. Don't forget at 4 Horsemen Pod. It's the number 4 Horsemen Pod. Follow us on Twitter. So, without further ado, let's get into talking the draft. Alex got a sweet print off of his. I don't have that. I'm just using the app. But I wanted to say, first of all, where we are drafting from, since we're the ones talking about it most of all. That's going to be almost part. Brent picked the 3rd spot. Alex is going to be drafting from the 7th spot. I drafted from the 10th spot, and Van Cleve wanted to bring up the rear and do the swing 12th pick. So, first of all, Brent, you said that you had a specific reason for choosing your spot. Is that true?
Yeah. So I chose the 3 spot. I kind of felt like the top 3 players in most consensus expert rankings, I feel like, are pretty much Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, and Christian McCaffrey. Some other people throw in like Alvin Kamara and maybe a couple others, but I just felt like those top 3 are pretty much interchangeable. So whoever falls to me at 3, I'm going to be happy. But I'm almost like, my first pick at the number 3 spot was Christian McCaffrey, and I freaking love getting Christian McCaffrey all day long at the number 3 spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like he could go number 1. Like, tell me why Christian McCaffrey couldn't go number 1 in drafts. He had way more receptions, not just a little more, way more receptions than Saquon Barkley and Zeke. He had way more 100-yard rushing and 100-yard receiving games than both those guys combined.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the debate? Why is Christian McCaffrey not going number 1 overall?
And he looks more ripped than Thor.
Oh, he's so good looking.
He's handsome.
One of the things that I'm looking at these first 3 picks. I kind of lean toward Barkley.
Do you want to say what they were, by the way?
First 3 picks. You had Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Christian McCaffrey. I would never in a million years choose Ezekiel Elliott over Christian McCaffrey. Not in a million years. I think that there's a decent debate about Barkley and McCaffrey. I lean Barkley because I think that McCaffrey wasn't McCaffrey until his second, 3rd season. So I think Barkley is, only going to be trending up. But if somebody were to take McCaffrey first, I wouldn't say anything about him. But I do not think that Ezekiel Elliott is as good as those two.
And that's why I chose the number 3 spot, because if McCaffrey went number 1 or number 2, if Zeke fell to me at 3, I'd take Zeke.
Okay,
it's no brain decision for me. Like I still think Zeke gets way more volume, and he dabbled in the reception game last year, which makes me think that his ceiling is much higher than it was in previous seasons too.
Yeah. He's an outstanding pass catcher. Probably the best pass catching running back, like head and shoulders above anybody else. He's amazing.
I can't stand that cereal eating caveman.
Yeah, you don't like Ezekiel Elliott, but let me run through at least the first 2 rounds real quick, just so we can get base. I'll run through the first round. How about that? It was Barkley, Elliott went number 2, Christian McCaffrey 3, Alvin Kamara number 4, Todd Gurley number 5, and then DeAndre Hopkins came off the board at 6. And there was another run of running backs: Melvin Gordon, David Johnson, Le'Veon Bell, Joe Mixon, and then Devontae Adams and Michael Thomas. Alex, hold on. You drafted from the 7th spot, so you were the next one up. What do you think?
I was happy that I got Melvin Gordon, because we're talking about a PPR league. So you got Gordon is going to get a lot. I mean, he's a volume type guy, and he puts up a lot of yards. I think that there's decent pieces in the passing game that kind of takes away a little bit, where they have had problems with that in the past. But can I just throw out a kind of a bold statement here? It doesn't have to do with my pick. David Johnson shouldn't go in the first round.
I think that
shocks
is
me coming from you.
I love
you've been a truther for David Johnson. I was about to ask you, Alex. I was about to ask you why you chose Melvin Gordon over David Johnson. So give me your take here.
I don't know this new offense. I don't know what's going to happen. He did not have a good year last year. Does it mean that – because let's face it, right now we're looking at David Johnson having one season. He had one amazing season. Then he got hurt. Then he had a subpar year. Why would you put him as a first-round pick? I love him, but
he wasn't even
pick.
Yeah, for as bad as you think he was last year, he still was an RB1.
Yeah, he still finished as a top 12 running back, and that was him being complete shit on a shit team.
Yeah, that offensive line was garbage. The whole offense was trash.
But you're all okay. We're still saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He went 7th as far as running back. I honestly, I would have no problem if he was at the turn, or maybe if Van Cleve would have taken him, I wouldn't have hated it. I just think, honestly, I like Mixon better. I could see Connor being better. I just don't see David Johnson, when you look at the span that has taken place over the last 2 years. I don't think he's a first-round draft choice.
I could see him going 5th overall, like depending on the draft. I'd be comfortable taking him there.
At the number 5 pick, you would feel comfortable taking him. That is 7, right? No. Yeah, 7 spots higher than what he finished.
I probably wouldn't take him above Alvin Kamara. I'd debate him over Gurley.
Mm-hmm.
I still take him above Melvin Gordon, just because I don't think Melvin Gordon's ever finished a season with
I worry about
16 games.
All I'm saying is the NFL and fantasy is a what have you done for me lately? Drafting David Johnson after 2 seasons, that one was a lost season, the other one was a meh season, and he barely finished as an RB1. So if he were to basically be that guy that he was last year, he might not be your RB1, and you don't have you don't have a number one running back depending on how you draft.
I think his situation's better than it was last year. I think that he'll take a step forward.
We don't know.
We don't know, but it couldn't be worse than they were last year. There's no way.
I don't like drafting players that haven't done well based on a coach, because that's what happens all the time. Like Adam Gase, perfect example. Oh, he's got this amazing, it's going to be great when he goes. He had one season that was great with the Bears. It hasn't materialized into anything, but it has materialized into hype. And I think that's what it is right now. Like, everybody wants David Johnson to be what he was. I'm not going to draft him based on what I want him to be. I'm going to draft him based on what has happened over the last 2 seasons.
So I just think he's gotten an offensive-minded coach. Last time we saw him with an offensive-minded coach was Bruce Arians, when he had how many receptions? I thought he was close to like 100 receptions, I thought.
Yeah,
he was good. I don't know.
It's speculative, but I feel like when we've seen David Johnson as an elite performer, it was with an offensive-minded coach, and that's who they brought in, and that's what they want to utilize him as. So
it's just, in his entire career, he's had one season,
one complete season.
Well, that's what I mean. Like
that was elite. That was top 3. He's had another season of being a running back 1, and then he had his rookie season that he finished the year super good.
Like the first,
he had
3 or 4 game, or the last 3 or 4 games, he was amazing.
So he had 1 year that he was injured, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's that bad.
I'm not saying that he's going to be terrible. What I'm saying is I don't want to pick him. There's no value in picking him there. And with somebody who hasn't performed, you need to find
told
that
me
value.
That you have to go running back early.
Yes.
Okay. So if you're going running back early, you said you'd take Joe Mixon, James Conner over him?
Yes.
Who else? Melvin Gordon, obviously.
Would you take Kamara over him?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you take Gurley over him?
Yes.
Yes. Would you take Le'Veon Bell over him?
Yes.
That's a mistake. Would you take Nick Chubb over him?
Okay. Well, let's back up. Why? Why not Le'Veon Bell?
You're talking about what have you done for me lately? Le'Veon Bell sat out a whole year last year.
Okay, so
his head coach that just took over being general manager of the team too said that he didn't want to bring in Le'Veon Bell.
That was Adam Gase, by the
way. Who's trash. You cannot tell me that you like that situation. It's a worse situation. Incredibly worse.
Okay, here's the one thing about that though.
What?
Why is Saquon Barkley so amazing? Because there's nothing else.
No, because he's good.
Okay. But there's also nothing else.
What else is there in Arizona?
I mean,
Chase Edmonds?
He wasn't good when there wasn't anything either. Okay. But as far as Le'Veon Bell, no. Do I like the situation? No. Do I think he's going to have an insane volume? Yes.
He should have an insane volume, but I don't like what I've seen out of him, and I hate the situation. There's no way I would take Le'Veon Bell over David Johnson. 99 times out of 100. Le'Veon Bell's been good behind Pittsburgh's offensive line, which is awesome. Their offense that is elite. Now he's moving to a pretty much garbage offense under a garbage coach in a garbage situation. I'll pass. Van Cleef, what do you think? You haven't been too boisterous.
Oh, I would definitely pass on Le'Veon Bell. I would see maybe in the second round, but definitely not in the first.
Where's your head at on David Johnson?
Before Melvin Gordon.
How early would you take him then?
I would take him in the first.
Would you take any wide receivers over him?
Yes.
Who?
Hopkins.
Honestly, that's the only one that I would consider taking in the first round, if I'm being honest.
I mean, unless you're in the back half like I was, I would say Hopkins would be the only one. But man, I just don't being a number one running back in a bell cow, and that offense that has a lot of weapons to be able to stretch the field. I do like Joe Mixon's situation. They did bring in a lot of depth for Joe Mixon, but there's not much behind David Johnson. I would say David Johnson and Joe Mixon's right there. I'm flip-flopping them. And then I would take Melvin Gordon after those guys.
So
I honestly like Michael Thompson or Odell Beckham ahead of Melvin Gordon.
Michael Thomas.
Can I go into that really quick? Now, here's the issue that I have with what you did is that you've got Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham.
That's who he took at the turn.
Yeah, by the way. Yeah. Michael Thomas, I love that pick. I'm not debating that. Odell Beckham, boo. I don't know. But then you have Devontae Freeman and Kenyon Drake as your starting running backs. Kenyon Drake, I'll tell you from personal experience, he is trash. He is trash.
Hey,
we don't know. He was in Adam Gates' offense. We don't know. He's in a different offense now.
Spoiler alert. When we talk about our favorite picks, Kenyon Drake's one of my favorite picks.
Oh, my God. Wow. Okay, well, when we get to that, yes, I was about to say. I kind of want a Le'Veon Bell bet.
Oh, we can do a Le'Veon Bell bet. What do you want to do it as, though?
Do you want to just do Le'Veon Bell versus David Johnson?
Yeah.
Oh, hands down.
I'll take David Johnson.
Oh, hands down.
No injury clause. Just straight up. That's how it is. So
okay, that does even it out a little bit. I'll just go on record saying that. But yes, I'll do it still.
Okay.
David Johnson over Le'Veon Bell. Put it on the board.
Is that our first of the year?
No.
What? Oh, I'll put everything on Discord.
Yeah, we've got a few, but
yeah,
I'm good with that. So, anyways, I took Joe Mixon at number 10 overall, and I'd be good taking Mixon. Probably number. I don't know. I'd take him over Le'Veon Bell. I'd take him over DeAndre Hopkins. I wouldn't draft a wide receiver in the first round, I don't think.
Mm-mm.
Even if it went running backs all the way through.
I saw that pick, and while I'm not against it, I felt like it was a reach. Not a big reach, but a slight reach. I just think that, I don't know, maybe his value is rising, but I've been in a lot of mock drafts where he's going usually in early round 2 after the turn is over. I felt it was a slight reach.
So he's one of my guys. Like, I love him.
Oh, yeah.
And I knew that if I didn't take him there was no chance he was getting back to me coming around. With 2 picks ahead, with Joe and Josh both drafting, Josh would have taken him at the turn. Am I right? If he would have been there? Okay.
Yes.
So I knew that Van Cleef liked him and would take him. So I was completely fine. And there's 6 wide receivers at the top of the draft that I like equally. I love DeAndre Hopkins. I know that people have him as like the clear cut. I like DeAndre Hopkins just as much as I like Juju Smith-Schuster. Just as much as I like Julio Jones, just as much as I like Odell, as much as I like Michael Thomas, as much as I like Devontae Adams. I like them all the same. They're my wide receiver 1 through 6 in any order. You can throw them.
Do you like us 3 all the same?
I'll answer that off camera. I texted you all 3 individually last night, so I like you all the same.
So, I don't know why Adam Thielen is not in this discussion.
Because for the reasons we've talked about off air, I don't like what Adam Thielen did the second half of last season after they changed the offensive coordinator out, after they changed offensive plans. I think that Diggs could take a step forward this year. And I think that Adam Thielen is a wide receiver too. At best.
Do you think any of this has to do with?
Whoa! At best,
yeah.
Okay, you're saying that there's probably a chance he's a wide receiver 3.
No, you're right. He's a wide receiver 2 at
He's a wide receiver
good.
1 at best.
He's a wide receiver 2 at good.
No, he's a wide receiver 1 with a wide receiver 2 floor.
No, he's God. Yeah, you're probably right.
On.
You're probably right.
On.
Could I see him finishing like 27th, 28th? I could see that.
Wide receiver?
Yeah. You can't see that happening? I'm not betting that.
Because it's stupid.
It's not stupid.
Ridiculous. That is ridiculous. I honestly, I am so sick of hearing about Diggs. He's not better than Thielen. He's not.
Okay. Why don't you think he is? Like, what is better about Thielen over Diggs?
His stats.
Okay. What were their stats? I think they were pretty similar last year.
They were pretty similar, but I just feel like Diggs is overvalued. Now, I mean, I think
it's not stats. It's just how you feel.
Well, I mean, what else?
Thielen was the definition of consistent wide receiver 1, top 5 wide receiver last year in the first 8 games?
6 games.
But 8. Yeah, well, he had 8 straight 100-yard games to start the season. And he had some touchdowns sprinkled in there. But then the second half of the season, when they switched offensive coordinators, that's what's got everyone freaking out right now because they don't know the direction that this passing game is going to go.
Okay, but he still had 1,300 yards. Like,
and how much of that was in the first half?
Well, I mean, I can pull up the game. But the thing is, okay, everybody jumps on Odell, how great he is. He's not consistent at all. Julio Jones, not consistent at all. But you look at Adam Thielen, and then you're like, oh, yeah, he's not consistent. Well, neither are the other guys. Like, Antonio Brown was consistent. The other guys, Julio, over the years, he'll have a 300-yard game followed by a 30-yard game. That's what those big, flashy guys do. Okay, so Adam Thielen had a front-loaded, first half of the season. He still ended up with 1,300 yards.
The last 8 games, the second half of the season, his game logs in order. He had 22 yards, 66 yards, 125 yards, 28 yards, 70 yards, 19 yards, 80 yards, 38 yards. I'm sorry, actually, that's not wide receiver 1.
Okay.
Julio was pretty consistent last year too.
Julio was way better last year, and he caught a lot of touchdowns in the second half of the season, which carried him a long way.
Okay, but we're also looking at Diggs, who had 1,000 yards. Okay, that's fine. I mean, he had good receptions, but his average was terrible for, I don't know why, 102 catches, but only 1,000 yards. That's weird.
Right, and it was because they wanted to be more of a running team, which is what they're continuing to do this year. At least what they're on track for is to be more running oriented.
That's great, but they can't. Delvin
Why?
It can't get going.
Why?
I don't know why. He just can't.
What do you mean he can't? He was pretty good last year when he got back in. No? You don't think so? You think he was bad?
No.
All right, I'll pull that up.
He I'm devastated me last year. What are you talking about?
Alex was crying on the floor.
I was just heartbroken all year. He hurt me so bad. But the other part of the Diggs thing is that 2017, he had 64 catches and 849 yards. So if you look at the whole, what we were just saying, what have you done for me lately? Adam Thielen has more to give than Diggs. I don't know what now, okay, I will say that if you can get Diggs, I mean, they basically are kind of going. It's basically who you like. They're going around the same area, so that's kind of just a pick. If for some reason Diggs falls a little bit, into the middle of the third round, I love that value. Love that. Yeah, and I'm not saying that getting him in the first he went the first pick of the third round. I am not saying that he's not good or that he won't be good. I'm just saying that I feel like, and I think this drive is more coming from you, Romine, than the actual, ether of sports, that he is somehow not a top wide receiver. Yes, he is. He's a top wide receiver. Like,
well, how top do you mean?
He's a wide receiver 1, period. He's not a wide receiver 2. He's a wide receiver 1. He will be a wide receiver 1 this year.
I bet Stephon Diggs outscores him this year. Put it on the board. Let's throw an injury clause in there, though, because I could see either one of them getting injured.
Well, if you could see either one of them getting injured, let's just go.
I let you take the injury clause out of the last one. Give me this one.
All right. How many games?
What, 13? Is that what we usually do?
Yeah, that's 15. Okay. Romine.
Good.
Diggs over. Oh, we already have it.
No,
it's already in here.
Well, you know what mountain I'm standing on.
Okay, but I'll put the injury. We didn't have an injury clause, but I'll let you throw it in.
All right. So Adam Thielen, let's go over the second round real quick because coming around, like we talked about, Van Cleef took Michael Thomas in the first, and he took Odell Beckham on the swing pick. And then Travis Kelce went next, James Conner, Julio Jones, Juju, Nick Chubb, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Mike Evans, Antonio Brown. And then at the 211, Patrick Mahomes went, which we'll talk about. And then Derrick Henry went at the 212.
Before we get into the worst pick of the draft, I want to talk about how. Okay, I feel like Travis Kelce was drafted at least a round too early.
This is about where he's going.
Really?
Yes. He is going at the end of the first.
I'll tell you right now, I would rather wait 2 rounds and get Kittle or Ertz than to draft Kelce that high.
Kittle and Ertz are going in the 3rd round in a lot of drafts. So,
well,
sometimes at the end of the second on the swing.
I would rather get I want value with my tight ends, because if you're taking a tight end that high up, that means you're ignoring your running back or you're ignoring your wide receiver, and I don't like that. Like tight end, you just don't. I don't know.
I mean, I think that the top 3 tight ends definitely set themselves apart from every other tight end. But I get what you're saying. Like, it puts yourself in a bad situation.
Is Kelce that much better than the other 2?
Yes.
No, he's not. On a skill level, he's in a better position, Van Cleef, I think.
He's in a top offense.
What about Zach Ertz?
But like skill level, it's pretty equal, wouldn't you say? Or do you think that he's way more talented than the other 2?
I think he's more talented than Kittle. Ertz is really about that like that, but that offense of Kansas City. That's
okay, but okay. Here's my issue: is that we have seen the best season that Mahomes is going to have, and I know that's a bold statement for a career that's only 2 years in. He will never throw 50 touchdowns again.
Okay, but think what he did that last year with all the receivers that he had, and Kelce still dominated at the tight end.
Okay, but that's the point. You take Tyreek Hill out of it, there's more coverage going to Travis Kelce. That's actually going to hurt him. It's like, there's more. Tyreek Hill was a home run hitter. He wasn't I don't know how many catches he had, but
like I don't think that the coverage is really going to matter. Like it's tough for linebackers to cover him. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's a tough cover regardless.
I mean,
it's kind of like Gronk.
But here's the thing: is that now we're saying, okay, there's Watkins, and then there's Kelce. So why wouldn't they run a nickel and have a corner on him?
I think cover's going to have a hard time covering Kelce.
So there's no way to cover Travis Kelce. Is that what you're saying?
I think he's probably the closest thing to an uncoverable tight end in the NFL. Brent, what do you think?
I mean, I like Kelce quite a bit, and I think he can still dominate the position and dominate a lot of the linebacker cores. And
do you think that it was a reach where he was drafted?
Yes.
At the 202? Yeah.
Like, I'd consider him early round 3. I would not touch him in round 2.
Yeah. It's hard. I'd have a really hard time drafting him there too. But that's if you want him, that's where you're going to have to take him.
I mean, you're looking at
mid-second.
He's in this draft. He was taken second pick of the second round. I mean, there's so many other great players that are going to be more valuable to your team, I think.
Yeah, and Joe started off Devontae Adams
or 2 and get Ertz or Kittle.
Yeah, I'd rather wait.
It's when you look at his team, especially the way it turned out. Like Joe took Devontae Adams in the first, then Travis Kelce in the second, and then Sony Michel and Kerryon Johnson, which we can get into later. But I think those are question marks. If he would have taken, who would have you taken there, Alex? Say you're locked in at taking Devontae Adams in the first round, and you just have to make that second round pick.
I mean, I'm gonna grab James Conner.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that he is. I don't think that he is a dominant running back. I'm not saying that he's like fantastic, but he's in an offense that just cranks out great running backs.
He's a product. Reference what I was saying about Le'Veon Bell earlier, but I started off with Joe Mixon and James Conner, and Brent knows we've talked about James Conner before. I'm not a James Conner guy.
Can I just sorry?
No, go ahead.
Kelce, I wanted to point this out because he had about the same stats as Adam Thielen. Okay. And when you're talking about a second half of the season, we start at week 6. He has 61, 95, 79, 99, 46. Then he has 127, 168, then ends the last 4 weeks 77, 61, 54, 62. So, I mean, I don't think you like. I feel like you're like nitpicking at Thielen and not looking at how other pass catchers are doing it.
So you would take Adam Thielen in the middle of the second round, but don't want to take Kelce till the 4th or 3rd because why?
Just tight end.
If he gives you a wide receiver 1 numbers at that position, then why not take him there?
But I don't know, because I just feel like you're putting in one of the, I guess, lesser. It depends on if because are we doing half point or one?
It was half
point or whatever. Okay,
half PPR.
Across the board, right? Like tight end didn't have a special thing.
Yeah, it's not tight end premium.
Okay, I don't know. When I just look at this. When I look at Joe's team, you got Devontae Adams, and that's great. And then you have Travis Kelce, and then you have Sony Michel, Kerryon Johnson, and then you go to Tyler Lockett, Tevin Coleman. Like, I feel like that pick derailed his draft just because of what was around there and what he could have gotten. And then he could have gotten, if he would have taken James Conner, then he would have had Sony Michel and could have taken Kittle. I like that better.
Yeah.
I don't see why you need to take, because let's also remember how young George Kittle is. Mm-hmm. George Kittle could be better than Kelce.
I love George Kittle.
I love George Kittle too. And to me, he's even more of a home run hitter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
He's been like a big part of that offense, though, too. And, the people say that San Francisco added weapons in the draft this year and brought in some help for hopefully Jimmy Garoppolo coming in. Travis Kelce did good in the limited time with Garoppolo. He did great with garbage quarterbacks after that.
Terrible.
Give me Kittle over those three. He's probably my favorite tight end.
And you can get him later. Like, that's what I'm
a
saying.
Full round at least.
At least. And that means that you can lock up. If you want to go wide receiver first, which I personally don't think that you should do, just how like things seem like they're working out. But if you want to go wide receiver, then you take your running back. If you want to grab one of those tight ends in the third, okay. I still feel like you could probably get, I don't know, a decent value out of a guy like, let's say, OJ Howard. I mean, is he amazing? No. Is he going to get you decent points and you're able to kind of stock, some weapons in the beginning of the draft?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Let's go ahead. I know there's people that we want to talk about in this list, but I want to talk about some of our favorite picks and least favorite picks. So I want to be positive for a bit because we've had a little bit of anger, a little bit of upsetness between us. I want Brent to give me one of his favorite picks first.
From my team?
Well, it can be your team.
Just whatever just
whatever tickles your fancy.
Oh, so many things tickle my fancy.
I just hope that you don't say mine. I'm going to be pissed.
No, my favorite pick was I'm just going off my team, but I really like the Sterling Shepard pick that I made in the 8th round. At the end of the 8th, he was 94th overall. I drafted him as the wide receiver 36 off the board. And I think with the targets opened up from Odell Beckham's absence, Sterling Shepard has basically a tremendous upside to become a high-end wide receiver 2 in my mind. I think he could be a top 15 wide receiver or so, but I'm not really worried about Golden Tate at all. I think his value is slipping quite a bit too. Yeah. Like he's just an aging wide receiver who couldn't get it done in a great Philly offense.
He's bouncing around.
So I kind of attribute Sterling Shepard to like Miles Sanders in Philly right now. We don't really know how good he could possibly be because he was behind a great running back like Saquon Barkley. Now, I think Sterling Shepard, all the targets were going to Odell Beckham.
Yeah.
So we don't really know how great Sterling Shepard could be either. He could be an Odell Beckham-like talent, and we could see that this year with a higher target share.
I agree.
I'm not a big Sterling Shepard fan, but where you got him, I'm all right with. Because I feel like his ceiling is much higher than the 8th round, and if he doesn't achieve that, there's no skin off your back. I mean, if you got him in their 8th round.
He's his wide receiver 4, so...
But that's what I mean also. Like you could have so much upside. And I pretty much own him in every single league, every best ball, because of the value he is right now. You can get so much upside out of that. Touchdown-wise, reception-wise, yardage-wise. There's nothing else in that passing game other than Saquon Barkley. Maybe Evan Ingram gets an uptick. But, I mean, I have no confidence in any other wide receiver on that team.
So you would obviously draft Corey Davis over him.
Right? So that was my least favorite pick actually in this whole draft, and I drafted it
because I think they're pretty even for me. Like it'd be pretty close. Would you rather have Will Fuller or Sterling Shepard?
Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
Robbie Anderson.
Oh, Sterling Shepard.
Yeah.
How about Tyreek Hill? With the caveat that we have no idea what's going on.
No.
You just no. So side note, because we honestly we haven't even talked about this like off camera or anything. Are you guys just completely avoiding Tyreek Hill in drafts?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
I don't want
100%.
100%.
I'll let someone else deal with him. Maybe he does play a little bit. I just don't see him playing a whole season.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm letting somebody else
garbage.
If he comes back, he's going to be great for somebody, but I don't want it, and I'm good with that. I'm fine. So we won't be drafting Tyreek Hill. So just FYI. Allen Robinson, you took him as your first. You took 3 wide receivers in a row. You took Allen Robinson in the 6th, Corey Davis in the 7th, Sterling Shepard in the 8th.
Sterling Shepard's that best pick out of those.
I agree.
Well, that's what I mean. I knew I could get Sterling Shepard late. I'm not going to take him in the 6th round when I could get an Allen Robinson or Corey Davis and hopefully they hit.
Would you rather have Sterling Shepard or Dante Pettis?
I don't
You
know.
like Dante Pettis, Van
They
Cleef?
spent some
I
pretty
do.
high draft capital. The 49ers did on two wide receivers, I thought.
Yeah, I'm not
didn't-
impressed with Pettis.
I liked him when there was no one else there in San Francisco, but they bring in more young rookie talent that's going to compete for a number 1, number 2, number 3 wide receiver spot. Where does Pettis fall into that rank? I don't know. They could be the same quality talent. I don't know. So that's why I am kind of just avoiding Dante Pettis. If I can get him real late, maybe, but
I don't know if real late. Like I took him in the 8th round. So
I'd still rather have Shepard.
I was just looking at it, and
you should have gone Shepard on that. Like I don't see where.
Looking at it now, I would go Shepard over Pettis. Like I will probably adjust that in my ranks. Like I like Shepard more than Dante Pettis.
I don't know. I guess I get why Sterling Shepard's going later, and I hope he stays further back. The lower the rounds, the better. But that's why I'm getting him in every league right now.
I probably feel comfortable taking them. I took DJ Moore in the 6th.
I love that.
I would rather have DJ Moore than Sterling Shepard, but that's pretty close to where I'm at on him.
That's actually
Alex,
my favorite pick of the draft is your DJ Moore.
Really? Alex took Tyler Boyd at the 605, and that was my 4th favorite pick.
I love it.
It honestly was probably closer to like my 2nd or 3rd favorite pick. We can talk about that a little bit too, because I think that's a good talking point because AJ Green's coming back. I think he's going to be healthy this year, but he has been banged up. That's another offense that should see a lot of changes this year. I think Tyler Boyd could be a sneaky great pick at the 6th, but I still believe in AJ Green. So it's kind of where I think that they can both have good seasons. Huh?
I do not. I hate AJ Green. He's the most boring number 1 wide receiver in the league to me. Like I'm talking not like number 1 wide receiver in general. I'm talking about as fantasy. Like usually he is considered. Now where'd he go?
I took him in the 3rd round.
Late 3rd. But he's your number 1.
Mm-hmm. I'm completely fine with that. By the way.
Ugh.
I kind of love it. I kind of see AJ Green as like a top, like right outside that first. He's a wide receiver 1.
If he plays all season, I don't think he goes very much over 1,000 yards. If
he plays all season,
I could see him hitting like 1,096 yards. Like I feel like that's his ceiling now. Like
he was on track to
I would take the over without really looking at anything.
He's just getting banged up so much. Like eventually that takes a toll. Like you can't just say, oh, he's hurt, but he's coming back healthy.
Yeah.
Well, okay, but
no, you're right.
You know, eventually those things gnaw at their talent, you know? So, and I've never really been an AJ Green guy because I just feel like he's one of the most vanilla wide receivers in the game. He does nothing for me.
Yeah. Where are you guys at on AJ Green?
I'm still a big fan.
Yeah. How high do you think? Sorry, Van Cleef, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think when he is in, he is still a number 1 receiver.
Do you feel comfortable taking him as your number 1, though?
I mean, with who you drafted behind him, yes.
Yeah.
You have to load up a little bit more on upside wide receivers later on in the draft if you're going to draft AJ Green as your number 1, I think.
See, and I went kind of safe, which is the one thing about my team that I don't love. I think they have a pretty safe wide receiving core, though.
I think also that you drafted Joe Mixon in the 1st round and AJ Green in the 3rd round. So they're going to feed off each other a little bit too.
I'm pretty high on the Cincinnati offense this year. That's how
and you'd have to be, I think.
I don't mind a wide receiver running back combo it's worked in the past and stuff. I think you can get enough. The two can go hand in hand, and you can still get enough fantasy value out of both of them.
Joe Mixon's going to be a top 6 pick next year in fantasy drafts. I think we'll be talking about Joe Mixon like where we're talking about Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, I agree.
He's probably would be my pick to go like, which like I said, I took him at 10. I think that some people can get Mixon at the turn in the second. I think that's a very real possibility.
I think that's awesome if you can get him at the turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love to do this at the turn. If I have that pick, I like to take a guy that fell that shouldn't have fallen in the second round, just so it makes me feel better about myself. So I'll take like if for instance, if he would have fallen, I would like if I was Van Cleven and he would have fallen, I would have taken Michael Thomas, and then I would have taken Joe Mixon just to be like, I got Joe Mixon in the second round.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just something I like to do if I have the turn.
So I was gonna take Juju with my second pick. So I was gonna start off Joe Mixon and Juju.
Can that kind of leads me in to my favorite pick?
Oh, go for it. What's your favorite pick?
You guys are gonna just James Washington.
Really? You're kidding me.
in the 10th round, he is okay. Last year I hated him because of where you going to throw. Well, now he's right there, and to get him in the 10th round, like what if he has the production that Juju had last year? Like there's a pass to go around.
What if their new rookie wide receiver has the same production instead of James Washington?
That's the only reason I don't like it.
You don't like a 10th?
I'm okay. I'm completely fine with it. It's great. He has good upside, but like I like Deontay Johnson that they took in the draft. Like they put draft capital into him. He was taken in the third round, like very early third round.
I don't obviously necessarily means that he's gonna be awesome just because they took him in the third. Like
it does not mean it means they has draft capital though.
I don't feel like that is for a wide receiver in this day and age. I don't feel like that is that high. Like if you get a running back in the third, you're looking at a guy that could possibly become a starter. If you're getting a wide receiver in the third, it's kind of like he might be good, but I look at guys that are drafted obviously in the first round, but then in the second round, because maybe they needed to get a linebacker, they needed to get a defensive tackle, offensive line, something like that. And then they're looking at, okay, now we need to address the wide receiver position. I think that they need bodies in Pittsburgh. I don't think that he will be better than James Washington, especially in a rookie season. I think James Washington, for all the reasons you guys just laid out over and over again last year, he has the ability, and I think he slides into that number 2 spot. There's plenty of passes to go around.
Do you think that he's going to slide in the number 2 spot as like a slot receiver? And you think they're going to move Juju out wide? Or do you think that they're going to keep Juju in the slot and move him out wide?
I have no idea. I'll be completely honest. All I'm saying is that in the 10th round, to get essentially the number 2 pass catcher on your team is amazing in a heavily dominated pass offense.
So you don't actually mean that you think that he'll be taking over the Juju Smith-Schuster role from last year. You just think that he'll be putting up production similar.
I'm sorry, that's what I meant. I was saying that he could get the same amount of targets, that. And honestly, I feel like they had to shove the ball toward Antonio Brown, especially when things started getting rocky. I felt like they were probably pushing it. Now I think that it opens up. They can pass around a little bit more, and I think that actually that's going to help James Washington.
I hope James Washington takes a step forward this year because I do like him, and I like that. That was your favorite pick?
Yeah, I mean, a number 2 that is on a pass happy offense in the 10th round when he already has. I mean, he has Michael Thomas, Odell Beckham. Then he comes down to I like the DK Metcalf in the 8th round as well. I mean, I don't think that he's going to be insane, but he could get 8 to 10 touchdowns. I could totally see that.
Yeah, so could I.
So, he definitely Van Cleve definitely has a stacked wide receiving core. I mean, I hate his running backs, but
yeah.
Okay.
So, Van Cleve, I really want to talk about your best picks, but let me just say one because this kind of leads into it too. Because my number one favorite pick was your turn picks of Kenyon Drake at the 512 and Dave Montgomery at the 601. I really like what the with the upside that you needed. So you took Devontae Freeman at the 3rd round, which is a little scary, but Devontae Freeman is like. We've seen him be great. I just worry about him coming back from his injury. I don't really know. That Atlanta offense should be very, very good this year. And if he can stay healthy, he could easily be in running back 1. But when you took Drake and David Montgomery with that turn, I thought that gave you some really high upside picks. I really like.
Or he could completely bottom out.
Yeah, but you're talking about guys that are going to see a lot of opportunity in an offense. Who else is behind Kenyon Drake? Kalen Ballage? They have a new coach coming in. We don't exactly know what that offense is going to be. Kenyon Drake has 200-yard games under his belt. Like, he's shown that he can be a great running back.
Jay Ajayi, okay? That you're drinking Kool-Aid right now. Do you want me to go get some?
Because what running back would you use in Miami, Alex?
None. I wouldn't draft a Miami running back because this is exactly what happens every single year. You look at a guy and you're like, oh, man, he's going to be great. And then the next year, garbage. Historically, that's what's been going on in Miami for a decade. I'm not falling for that.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a running game in Miami.
There wasn't last year.
There was. It was Frank Gore.
Yeah,
old as fuck. Did Frank Gore have?
He hobbled his way to 700 yards on 700 carries.
700 carries? Oh my God. He had a workload.
He's also 700 years old.
He had 722 yards. You're going to say the lead back that is a running game. To have your best running back have 722 yards.
Completely new offense. Completely new offense.
Take out Frank Gore now. And who's that going to go to now? Who's it going to go to?
It doesn't matter if it goes to Kenyon Drake. He had the ball last year and many times could not do anything with it. It's not just like, okay, he had a couple of huge games. Again, so did Jay Ajayi. You can give a guy the ball 1,000,000 times. If he's not that good, then it doesn't matter. And I don't.
But what matters in fantasy football? Volume.
Not if you don't get yards. Not if you don't get touchdowns. You can head the ball off 1,000 times. If you're only getting 2 yards per carry and you're only scoring 3 touchdowns in a whole season, it doesn't matter how many times they hand the ball off to you.
I mean, he averaged over 4 yards a carry.
So I think Kenyon Drake at the end of the 5th is a great pick, and I will advocate for that. So I think that
you want what I will do any bet you want on Kenyon Drake. I had him.
Any bet?
I mean, well, within reason. I'm not going to.
What do you mean, like
722 yards?
RB1.
Come on. He drafted him in the late 5th round. You're not going to get me that easy on it. I said that he has a big upside. You can't do RB1. No. Top 15 running back. And that's me being bold. Like, that's me giving you a lot.
Okay, then why? Okay, hold on.
He was the 27th drafted running back in this mock.
Yeah, I take that back. I'm not doing that. Give me top 20 running back. No. That's fair.
All your boasting about how much volume he's going to get and how he's going to, like, it's going to be so good. and you're telling me, oh yeah, well he's barely an RB2. Come on, then that means he's not very good.
I mean, where he drafted him, he has a good upside.
That's his.
Screw it. Just give me the top 15. Put it down. Shut up and just give it to me.
Well,
give it to me. Give it to me.
Top 15.
Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna
I don't care.
All right.
I'll put my money where my mouth is because I do think that he has that upside. I think that he has the upside of a top 12 running back. So I'm only giving myself like 3 spots for him to come down. Not fair. You should give me top 18 just for being a nice guy.
No.
That's fine.
All of your boasting, you should put your money where your mouth is. Oh, Drake.
So where are you guys at on David Montgomery?
See, I would have taken David Montgomery there in the 5th round over Kenyon Drake.
So he basically did.
It's just saying.
I like.
I'm a little scared. I don't know.
I think he fits that system well.
I mean, we don't really know yet. We think that he should fit that system.
Yeah, he should.
Whatever happened to like getting a rookie running back in like the 15th round of like a big draft?
Yeah, those days are gone. There's too much information out there now for people like doing research and finds. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to happen.
And drinking Kool-Aid. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it like.
I mean, you got to drink Kool-Aid sometimes. You're going to hit on some of them. If you're not drinking any Kool-Aid, then it's no fun.
Okay.
Who cares?
Okay, but I understand that. But what I'm saying is that like, I don't like when you're like, oh, he fits this system. It's like he was in college, you know, like okay, you know. But
the prototype that he has,
the style of running back that he is, in the system that.
Like Jordan Howard did not fit that system. That's why he's no longer there.
Well, okay, so
Jordan Howard's trash.
Here's my philosophy a lot of times, in most cases, is if you're not good as a running back, it doesn't matter what system you're in, then you're not a good running back. Because running backs just need to either go straight through or they need to go around. Like if you're fat and slow, then okay, you're not a very good fit for a system if it's a speedy one. But I mean, I feel like Tariq Cohen, although obviously not a running back, he's more of a pass catcher.
Definitely one of my least favorite picks in this draft was Tariq Cohen going in the 4th round.
We didn't talk any least favorite picks. And you know what, honestly,
see that one. Oh my God, that's terrible.
So I think that we should save our least favorite picks for next podcast. Because we're already at over an hour.
Oh, really?
I know it went really fast, and we still have a lot to talk about, like our favorite teams, our least favorite team. I still got a couple more of my favorite picks too, but we didn't talk any of our least favorite picks.
I'm blown away. I totally missed this Tariq Cohen pick. Wow.
Where'd he go?
The very last pick of the 4th round. No. Oh.
Like he went before Darius Geis.
No.
If you don't like David Montgomery, then you shouldn't like Tariq Cohen. Or you should like him, I guess.
Wait, what? Are you talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
if you don't think David Montgomery's going to do anything.
No. Okay. Back up. I was kind of playing devil's advocate with it. I don't know the Bears' identity yet. Like I feel like I'm trying to figure out what kind of are they a passing team? Do they want to be a running team? And Jordan Howard just didn't fit. Like what are they? I just don't know yet, and I feel like we're gonna find out this season. So
I mean, Matt Nagy came from the Andy Reid tree. That's what we thought they were going to be. Is more like a Kansas City.
I think their team identity is a team that just can't kick the ball through the uprights.
Oh my God, that'll be one of the crazy. I was driving, right? And I had because I was driving back from Vermont, and I had my phone up because with Verizon you can watch the games, and I'm sitting there, and I'm just so pissed. Like, I'm just so mad because they blew it, because, they marched down the field, scored a touchdown, and the Bears come back. And when it hits that, I was like sitting there screaming, punching the steering wheel. I thought I was going to set the airbag off. That was a good day. That was a good day.
All right. But so we're going to come back and we'll do another podcast. We'll do a part 2, and we'll talk about the rest of this draft, because there's still a lot. Like I said, this podcast could have easily been 3 hours long. So we'll break it. We'll break it up a little bit. But we are so happy to be back talking. Like, yeah. I've been literally waiting for this day for a long, long time now.
Right now, he's got a massive erection. You can't see it, but Romine, come on.
Hide your kids.
Say it.
Hide your wife.
Wait, hide your kids? Gross.
I don't want kids to hear you talking about erections. This is a G-rated podcast. It's going to be explicit. You guys are swearing too much.
I'll put explicit. Okay, anytime that I'm on a podcast, I let it fly a lot of times. I try. It just goes out the window, especially when I hear crazy stuff that comes out of Roman's mouth.
Yeah, well, we'll get to hear more of this crazy stuff next week. Hop on Twitter, follow us at 4horsemanpod. You can send us emails at 4horsemanpod@gmail.com. We are still there. I haven't checked in a long time, so if you've been sending me emails and I haven't responded, I'm really sorry. But we will be back next week at around the same time. So thanks for stopping out and listening, and we'll talk to you guys later. Peace.